The question is, can the Tories turn it around? Well, for Labour to win, and I think, basically it's a two-horse race, would require the biggest turnaround in British politics, for the last 100 and God knows how many years. I think the question is, at the moment, the Tories are desperately unpopular. But we're not in the era anymore when people vote with a sort of family loyalty. We're in the era of retail politics. And if you look at for example, Reform, they're up around 6, 7, 8%. That could cost the Tories some seats. I think the Liberal explosion, if you like, or the increase in their vote was very much based on a hatred and antipathy towards Boris Johnson in particular. And I don't honestly think that Ed Davey has sealed the deal. So at the moment, William Hague did this marvellous rah-rah speech down at Chequers last week, and he said, if you think this was bad, you should have been around in 1992. The difference is, in 1992, Neil Kinnock didn't have the same reach across as Keir Starmer has. Keir Starmer may be accused of being bland and boring, but frankly, after we've had Johnson and we've had all the bizarre behaviours in the last few months, I think I could do with a bit of bland. So the Tories can win the next election. By all means, of course they can. I don't think they will. But, nobody should be complacent at the moment.
Well, let's go to Rebecca Jane. Rebecca Jane, what do you think? Can they turn this mess around?
They can't turn this mess around, and I don't want bland, I want change and action. No, we're talking about a party here who are absolutely embroiled in scandal from start to finish, especially from the COVID times, dishing out all the contracts that they did to their friends, Partygate, people that have been sacked for their tax affairs, and we're even talking about porn in the House of Commons, for goodness sakes. They can't turn it around. They shouldn't turn it around. As the public, we should never forget what they've done. Because whilst we look at all of the sleaze and the scandal that surround them, what they also did in the process was completely and utterly destroy our country. I don't want bland. I want change. I want action. And I want time for completely new government.
Well, they might say that they didn't hand out contracts to their friends, but, if you can imagine it, it's the people that they knew that were closest. I mean, that's just in their defence. Let's go to Reem Ibrahim. She's a political commentator. Reem.
Yeah, I want change, but I don't want action. I want the government to do less. And I think that what the past 12 years have really shown us is that the government tends to do things really quite badly, and that actually, when you bring power back to the people, that's where the good things happen. Look, I think that when we're thinking about the next election, I think we're almost certain to lose. The past 12 years of Tory government has been complete and utter failure. We got Brexit done. That was probably one of the only good things that the government have done recently. At the moment, we have the highest tax burden in 70 years. We've got migrants coming in their thousands. We've got an NHS that is at its breaking point. There is nothing conservative about this government. So unless Rishi Sunak really does Hail Mary and become the tax-cutting conservative that he should be, unfortunately, I think we are going to lose the next election.
But Rebecca Jane's shaking her head because you said we got Brexit done. She doesn't agree with you.
No, not in the slightest. Well, of course not. I'm UKIP, for goodness sakes. If there's one thing that the Conservatives have not done, it's got Brexit done. In fact, what they did was make an absolute shambles of it, completely and utterly trash it, because they never wanted it in the first place. We were wrong to hand over the trust like we did and to stand candidates down and all the rest of it. It will never happen again, and we should never, ever trust that they're going to do anything. They didn't get Brexit done. It's not done, and it needs to get done now.
But if you hadn't stood by, then we could have been looking at a Labour government, and Stephen would have been happy with that, wouldn't you? Is he frozen? He's frozen. You couldn't tell. He's frozen. Stephen's mouth's not moving. This is hilarious. Reem, take over from him.
I think that what UKIP did when they stood down was the right thing, because otherwise, again, we could have seen those votes go and sway to the Labour Party, which would have been even worse if we had Corbyn in power. So, look, I understand Rebecca's sentiment that Brexit, by definition, hasn't been completed. The issues in Northern Ireland haven't been resolved. So, by definition, Brexit isn't a done and dusted deal. However, I think that UKIP is sort of a party of the past. We are an independent country now. We have left the European Union officially. Yes, there are some things and some things that we sort of sort out to get it all finished. But actually, we did leave the European Union, and we left because of the Conservative Party.
She called you party of the past, Rebecca Jane. Did you hear that? Rebecca, are you there? Party of the past. Where's she gone?
It's a shock. I mean, we are certainly not the party of the past. Yes, We have been a lot quieter, but no, we're not a party of the past. We've got a lot to do, especially the first thing that we obviously want to start with is the migrant crisis, but we do need to get Brexit done. The young lady says a lot of absolutely fantastic things, and thank you for that, but we're not done. However, I think that should be exceptionally moving over to a different party.
Let's go back to Stephen. Stephen, you froze for a while. It was quite nice.
A couple of things. Sorry, you know and I know it's the economy. The economy is the key thing. If you actually look at what people are worried about and thinking about, you'll very often find that things that people think that is going to matter aren't the case. Look, the economy is in a very weird place at the moment. The FTSE is up in the high 70s. It's like 76, 77%. God alone knows how we're doing so well from FTSE. So that's brilliant for savers, really good for people with pensions, people who've got a broad portfolio of interest. However, if you're trying to buy a property, if you're paying for a mortgage, you're up in 4%, the interest rate. And I think the biggest horror for the next election is going to be housing. I don't think it's going to be migrants. I don't think it's going to be any of the question about whether we can sort out Brexit or not. It's going to be housing because that affects every single person. And unfortunately, the government simply do not have a handle on this. So I think it will be the economy, stupid, but I think it's going to be a very, very sort of kind of sort of broken down election this time. There's going to be different results in different parts of the country, without any doubt. I think the SNP are less powerful than they've been for a long time.
Of course,